Welcome everybody, this is Alan with Daily Armour of God. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you're all doing well. This is Reading the Bible in 123 Days. We're on day 95. And today is the very last day of the Old Testament, which is kind of sad. But I'm also looking forward to starting the New Testament. But after reading through the Old Testament again, I'm beginning to like it more and more. I mean, I already liked it, but I really do like it now more than before. So it's kind of sad at the same time that we're going to be done with the Old Testament, but also exciting to start the New Testament. So we're going to be reading the rest of Zechariah and all of Malachi. So let's continue here in Zechariah chapter 10, verse 1. Ask ye of Yahweh rain in the time of the latter rain, so Yahweh shall make it bright clouds, and give them showers of rain to every one grass in the field. For the idols have spoken vanity, and the diviners have seen a lie, and have told false dreams. They comfort in vain. Therefore they went their way as a flock. They were troubled, because there was no shepherd. Mine anger was kindled against the shepherds, and I punished the goats. For Yahweh of hosts hath visited the flock of the house of Judah, and hath made them as his goodly horse in the battle. Out of him came forth the corner, out of him the nail, out of him the battle bow, out of him every oppressor together. And they shall be as mighty men which tread down their enemies in the mire of the streets in the battle. And they shall fight, because Yahweh is with them, and the riders on horses shall be confounded. I will strengthen the house of Judah. I will save the house of Joseph, and I will bring them again to place them. For I have mercy upon them, and they shall be as though I had not cast them off. For I am Yahweh their God, and will hear them. And they of a frame shall be like a mighty man, and their heart shall rejoice as through wine. Yea, their children shall see it and be glad. Their heart shall rejoice in Yahweh. I will hiss for them and gather them, for I have redeemed them. They shall increase as they have increased. And I will sow them among the people, and they shall remember me in far countries. They shall live with their children and turn again. I will bring them again also out of the land of Egypt, and gather them out of Assyria, and I will bring them into the land of Gilead and Lebanon, and place shall not be found for them. And he shall pass through the sea with affliction, and shall smite the waves in the sea, and all the deeps of the river shall dry up, and the pride of Assyria shall be brought down, and the scepter of Egypt shall depart away. And I will strengthen them in Yahweh, and they shall walk up and down his name, saith Yahweh. Zechariah 11. Open thy doors, O Lebanon, that the fire may devour thy cedars. Howl, fir trees, for the cedar is fallen, because the mighty are spoiled. Howl, O ye oaks of Bashan, for the forest of the vintage is come down. There is a voice of howling of the shepherds, for their glory is spoiled, a voice of the roaring of young lions, for the pride of Jordan is spoiled. Thus saith Yahweh my God, feed the flock of slaughter, whose possessors slay them and hold themselves not guilty, and they that sell them say, Blessed be Yahweh, for I am rich, and their own shepherds pity them not. For I will no more pity the inhabitants of the land, saith Yahweh, but lo, I will deliver the men, every one into his neighbor's hand, and into the hand of his king, and they shall smite the land, and out of their hand will I not deliver them. And I will feed the flock of slaughter, even you, O poor of the flock. And I took unto me 2 staffs, the one called Beauty, and the other I called Bands, and I fed the flock. 3 shepherds also I cut off in 1 month, and my soul loathed them, and their soul also abhorred me. Then said I will not feed you. That dieth, let it die, and that is to be cut off, let it be cut off, and let the rest eat every one the flesh of another. And I took my staff, even Beauty, and cut it asunder, that I might break my covenant which I had made with all the people. And it was broken in that day, so the poor of the flock that waited upon me knew that it was the word of Yahweh. And I said unto them, If ye think good, give me my price, and if not, forbear. So they weighed for my price 30 pieces of silver. And Yahweh said to me, Cast it unto the potter, a goodly price that I was priced at of them. And I took 30 pieces of silver, and cast them to the potter in the house of Yahweh. Then I cut asunder mine other staff, even bands, that I might break the brotherhood between Judah and Israel. And Yahweh said unto me, Take unto thee ye instruments of a foolish shepherd, for lo, I will raise up a shepherd in the land, which shall not visit those that be cut off, neither shall seek the young one, nor heal that is broken, nor feed that standeth still, but he shall eat the flesh of the fat, and tear their claws in pieces. Woe to the idle shepherd that leaveth the flock! The sword shall be upon his arm, and upon his right eye. His arm shall be clean dried up, and his right eye shall be utterly darkened. Zechariah 12. The burden of the word of Yahweh for Israel, saith Yahweh, which stretcheth forth the heavens, and layeth the foundation of the earth, and formeth the spirit of man within him. Behold, I will make Jerusalem a cup of trembling unto all the people round about, when they shall be in the siege, both against Judah and against Jerusalem. And in that day I will make Jerusalem a burdensome stone for all people. All that burden themselves with it shall be cut in pieces, though all the people of the earth be gathered together against it. In that day, saith Yahweh, I will smite every horse with astonishment, and his rider with madness, and I will open mine eyes upon the house of Judah, and will smite every horse of the people with blindness. And the governors of Judah shall say in their heart, The inhabitants of Jerusalem shall be my strength, and Yahweh of hosts their God. And that day I will make the governors of Judah like a hearth of fire among wood, and like a torch of fire in a sheaf. And they shall devour all the people round about, on the right hand and on the left, and Jerusalem shall be inhabited again in her own place, even in Jerusalem. Yahweh also shall save the tents of Judah first, that the glory of the house of David and the glory of the inhabitants of Jerusalem do not magnify themselves against Judah. In that day shall Yahweh defend the inhabitants of Jerusalem, and he that is feeble among them at that day shall be as David, and the house of David shall be as God, as the angel of Yahweh before them. And it shall come to pass in that day that I will seek to destroy all the nations that come against Jerusalem. And I will pour upon the house of David, and upon the inhabitants of Jerusalem, the spirit of grace and of supplications, and they shall look upon me, whom they have pierced, and they shall mourn for him, as one mourneth for his only son, and shall be in bitterness for him, as one that is in bitterness for his firstborn. In that day shall there be a great mourning in Jerusalem, as the mourning of Hadadurimon in the valley of Megiddon. And the land shall mourn, every family apart, the family of the house of David apart, and their wives apart, and the family of the house of Nathan apart, and their wives apart. The family of the house of Levi apart, and their wives apart. The family of Shimei apart, and their wives apart. The families that remain, every family apart, and their wives apart. Zechariah 13. In that day there shall be a fountain opened to the house of David and to the inhabitants of Jerusalem for sin and for uncleanness. And it shall come to pass in that day, saith Yahweh of hosts, that I will cut off the names of the idols out of the land, and they shall no more be remembered, and I will cause the prophets of unclean spirit to pass out of the land. And it shall come to pass that when any shall yet prophesy, then his father and his mother that begat him shall say unto him, Thou shalt not live, for thou speakest lies in the name of Yahweh. And his father and his mother that begat him shall thrust him through when he prophesieth. And it shall come to pass in that day that the prophet shall be ashamed every one of his vision when he hath prophesied, neither shall they wear a rough garment to deceive. But he shall say, I am no prophet, I am a husbandman, for man taught me to keep cattle from my youth. And one shall say unto him, What are these wounds in thine hands? Then he shall answer, Those with which I was wounded in the house of my friends. Awake, O sword, against my shepherd, and against the man that is my fellow, saith Yahweh of hosts. Smite the shepherd, and the sheep shall be scattered, and I will turn mine hand upon the little ones. And it shall come to pass that in all the land, saith Yahweh, 2 parts therein shall be cut off and die, but the third shall be left therein. And I will bring the third part through the fire, and will refine them as silver is refined, and will try them as gold is tried. And they shall call on my name, and I will hear them. I will say, It is my people, and they shall say, Yahweh is my God. Zechariah 14. Behold, the day of Yahweh cometh, and thy spoil shall be divided in the midst of thee. For I will gather all nations against Jerusalem to battle, and the city shall be taken, and the houses rifled, and the women ravished, and half the city shall go forth into captivity, and the residue of the people shall not be cut off from the city. Then shall Yahweh go forth and fight against those nations, as when he fought in the day of battle. And his feet shall stand in that day upon the Mount of Olives, which is before Jerusalem on the east, and on the Mount of Olives shall cleave the midst thereof toward the east and toward the west, and there shall be a very great valley, and half the mountain shall remove toward the north, and half of it toward the south. And ye shall flee to the valley of the mountains, for the valley of the mountains shall reach unto Azal. Yea, ye shall flee, like as ye fled from before the earthquake in the days of Uzziah king of Judah. And Yahweh my God shall come, and all the saints with thee. And it shall come to pass in that day that the light shall not be clear nor dark, but shall be one day which shall be known to Yahweh, not day nor night, but shall come to pass that at evening time it shall be light. And it shall be in that day that living waters shall go out of Jerusalem, half of them toward the former sea, and half of them toward the hinder sea. In summer and winter shall it be. Yahweh shall be king over all the earth. In that day shall there be one Yahweh, and his name one. All the land shall be turned as a plain from Geba to Rimmon, south of Jerusalem, and it shall be lifted up and inhabited in her place from Benjamin's gate unto the place of the first gate, and unto the corner gate, and from the tower of Hananiel unto the king's winepress. And men shall dwell in it, and there shall be no more utter destruction, but Jerusalem shall be safely inhabited. And this shall be the plague wherewith Yahweh will smite all people that have fought against Jerusalem. Their flesh shall consume away while they stand upon their feet, and their eyes shall consume away in their holes, and their tongue shall consume away in their mouth. It shall come to pass that day that a great tumult from Yahweh shall be among them, and they shall lay hold every one on his hand of his neighbor, and his hand shall rise up against the hand of his neighbor. And Judah also shall fight at Jerusalem, and the wealth of all the heathen round about shall be gathered together, gold and silver and apparel in great abundance. And so shall be the plague of the horse, of the mule, and of the camel, of the ass, and of the beast that shall be in these tents, as this plague. And it shall come to pass that every one that is left of all the nations which came against Jerusalem shall even go up from year to year to worship the King, Yahweh of hosts, and to keep the Feast of Tabernacles. And it shall be that whoso will not come up of all the families of the earth unto Jerusalem to worship the King, Yahweh of hosts, even upon them shall be no rain. And if the family of Egypt go not up and come not, and that have no rain, there shall be a plague wherewith Yahweh will smite the heathen that come up not to keep the Feast of Tabernacles. This shall be the punishment of Egypt, and the punishment of all nations that come not up to keep the Feast of Tabernacles. In that day shall there be upon the bells of horses holiness unto Yahweh, and the pots of Yahweh's house shall be like the bowls before the altar. Yea, every pot in Jerusalem and in Judah shall be holiness unto Yahweh of hosts, and all they that sacrifice shall come and take of them, and seed therein. In that day shall there be no more Canaanite in the house of Yahweh of hosts. Okay, getting some Revelation vibes here. But moving on to Malachi, chapter 1. The burden of the word of Yahweh to Israel by Malachi. I have loved you, saith Yahweh. Yet ye say, wherein hast thou loved us? Was not Esau Jacob's brother, saith Yahweh? Yet I loved Jacob. And I hated Esau, and laid his mountains and his heritage waste for the dragons of the wilderness. Whereas Edom saith, we are impoverished, but we will return and build the desolate places. Thus saith Yahweh of hosts, they shall build, but I will throw down, and they shall call them the border of wickedness, and the people against whom Yahweh hath an indignation forever. And your eyes shall see, and ye shall say, Yahweh will be magnified from the border of Israel. A son honoureth his father, and a servant his master. If then I be a father, where is mine honour? And if I be a master, where is my fear? Saith Yahweh of hosts unto you, O priests that despise my name. And ye say, wherein have we despised thy name? This is a really good point here. God is our Father. He is also our Master, our Lord, our God. But he's saying, where's my honor? If I am your Father, where's my honor? If I am your Master, where's my honor? Where's my fear? Fear of the Lord. Great. great verses that makes a great point. Also, these priests back then, a lot of them, especially during the time of the wicked kings, actually throughout the whole entire time, there were good priests, yes, but there were also a lot of bad, just like there were bad kings and there were some good kings. But these priests, they would pretend, just think of the Pharisees and Sadducees. Basically, that's what they were doing. They would pretend to be holy and do all this stuff, but they were far from God. Their heart wasn't anywhere near God. They were just doing things for the sake of appearance sake. Malachi 1:7, Ye offer polluted bread upon my altar, and ye say, Wherein have we polluted thee? And that ye say, The table of Yahweh is contemptible. And if ye offer the blind for a sacrifice, it is not evil. And if ye offer the lame and sick, is it not evil? Offer it now unto thy governor. Will he be pleased with thee, or accept thy person, saith Yahweh of hosts? And now I pray you, beseech God that he will be gracious unto us. This hath been your means. By your means will he regard your persons, saith Yahweh of hosts. Who is there even among you that would shut the doors for naught? Neither do ye kindle fire on mine altar for naught. I have no pleasure in you, saith Yahweh of hosts, neither will I accept an offering at your hand. For from the rising of the sun even unto the going down of the same, my name shall be great among the Gentiles, and in every place incense shall be offered unto my name, and a pure offering for my name shall be great among the heathen, saith Yahweh of hosts. But ye have profaned it, in that ye say, The table of Yahweh is polluted, and the fruit thereof, even his meat, is contemptible. Ye said also, Behold, what a weariness is it! And ye have snuffed at it, saith Yahweh of hosts, and ye brought that which was torn, and the lame, and the sick. Thus ye brought an offering. Should I accept this of your hand, saith Yahweh? But cursed be the deceiver which hath in his flock a male, that invoweth and sacrificeth unto the Lord a corrupt thing. For I am a great king, saith Yahweh of hosts, and my name is dreadful among the heathen. Malachi 2. And now, O ye priests, this commandment is for you. If you will not hear, and if you will not lay it to heart, to give glory unto my name, saith Yahweh of hosts, I will even send a curse upon you, and I will curse your blessings. Yea, I have cursed them already, because ye do not lay it to heart. Behold, I will corrupt your seed, and spread dung upon your faces, even the dung of your solemn feasts, and one shall take you away with it. And ye shall know that I have sent this commandment unto you, that my covenant might be with Levi, saith Yahweh of hosts. My covenant was with him of life and peace, and I gave them to him for the fear wherewith he feared me, and was afraid before my name. The law of truth was in his mouth, and iniquity was not found in his lips. He walked with me in peace and equity, and did turn many away from iniquity. For the priest's lips should keep knowledge, and they should seek the law at his mouth, for he is the messenger of Yahweh of hosts. But ye are departed out of the way. Ye have caused many to stumble at the law. Ye have corrupted the covenant of Levi, saith Yahweh of hosts. Therefore have I also made you contemptible and base before all the people, according as ye have not kept my ways, but have been partial in the law. Have we not all one Father? Hath not one God created us? Why do we deal treacherously every man against his brother by profaning the covenant of our fathers? Judah hath dealt treacherously, and an abomination is committed in Israel and in Jerusalem. For Judah hath profaned the holiness of Yahweh which he loved, and hath married the daughter of a strange god. Yahweh will cut off the man that doeth this, the master and the scholar out of the tabernacles of Jacob, and him that offereth an offering unto Yahweh of hosts. And this have ye done again, covering the altar of Yahweh with tears, with weeping, and with crying out, insomuch that he regardeth not the offering any more, or receiveth it with goodwill at your hand. Yet ye say, Wherefore? Because Yahweh hath been witness between thee and the wife of thy youth, against whom thou hast dealt treacherously. Yet is she thy companion and the wife of thy covenant. And did not he make one? Yet had he the residue of the Spirit, and wherefore one, that he might seek a godly seed? Wherefore take heed to your spirit, and let none deal treacherously against the wife of his youth. For Yahweh, the God of Israel, saith that he hateth putting away, for one covereth violence with his garment, saith Yahweh of hosts. Therefore take heed to your spirit, that ye deal not treacherously. Ye have wearied Yahweh with your words, yet ye say, wherein have we wearied him? When ye say, every one that doeth evil is good in the sight of Yahweh, he delighteth in them, or where is the God of judgment? And we see that so much today, don't we? Everyone that does evil in today's world is considered good. Anyone who does good is considered evil. It's so backwards, but consider who is running the world right now. That will explain it. Satan. He's very powerful, but ultimately God is in control, and Satan knows his time is almost up, so he's causing as much ruckus as possible, trying to damn as many souls to hell as possible, so he doesn't have to go alone. That's really all there is to it. He wants to take as many people with him as possible. Malachi 3. Behold, I will send my messenger, and he shall prepare the way before me. And the Lord, whom ye seek, shall suddenly come to his temple, even the messenger of the covenant, whom ye delight in. Behold, he shall come, saith Yahweh of hosts. But who may abide in the day of his coming? Who shall stand when he appeareth? For he is like a refiner's fire, and like fuller's soap. And he shall sit as a refiner and purifier of silver, and he shall purify the sons of Levi, and purge them as gold and silver, that they may offer unto Yahweh an offering in righteousness. Then shall the offering of Judah and Jerusalem be pleasant unto Yahweh, as in the days of old, as in the former years. And I will come near to you to judgment, and I will be a swift witness against the sorcerers, and against the adulterers, and against false swearers, and against those that oppress the hireling in his wages, the widow and the fatherless, and that turn aside the stranger from his right, and fear not me, saith Yahweh of hosts. For I am Yahweh, I change not, therefore you sons of Jacob are not consumed. Here's another little tidbit of God's character. God changes not. And if you remember all the different things, you could do a whole Bible study on God's character. We see God is merciful. We see God is a jealous and consuming fire. We see God, a God of vengeance. Vengeance belongeth to the Lord. And we see God is slow to anger, long-suffering, kind, gracious, merciful. I mean, all these things. God cannot lie. God cannot change. So I like seeing these little things that give us a better understanding of our Lord. He changes not. Even from the days of your fathers ye are gone away from mine ordinances, and have not kept them. Return unto me, and I will return unto you, saith Yahweh of hosts. But ye said, wherein shall we return? Will a man rob God? Yet ye have robbed me. But ye say, wherein have we robbed thee? In tithes and offerings. Ye are cursed with a curse, for ye have robbed me, even this whole nation. Bring ye all the tithes into the storehouse, that there may be meat in mine house, and prove me now herewith, saith Yahweh of hosts, if I will not open you the windows of heaven and pour ye out a blessing, that there shall not be room enough to receive it. And I will rebuke the devourer for your sakes. He shall not destroy the fruits of your ground, neither shall your vine cast her fruit before the time in the field, saith Yahweh of hosts. And all nations shall call you blessed, for ye shall be a delightsome land, saith Yahweh of hosts. Your words have been stout against me, saith Yahweh, yet ye say, what have we spoken so much against thee? Ye have said, it is vain to serve God. What profit is that we have kept his ordinance, and that we have walked mournfully before Yahweh of hosts? And now we call the proud happy, yea, they that work wickedness are set up, yea, they that tempt God are even delivered. Then they that feared Yahweh spake often one to another, and Yahweh hearkened and heard it, and a book of remembrance was written before him for them that feared Yahweh, and that thought upon his name. And they shall be mine, saith Yahweh of hosts, in that day when I make up my jewels, and I will spare them as a man spareth his own son that serveth him. Ye shall return and discern between the righteous and the wicked, between him that serveth God and him that serveth not. And Malachi 4. For behold, the day cometh, that shall burn as an oven, and all the proud, yea, and all that do wickedly shall be stubble. And the day that cometh shall burn them up, saith Yahweh of hosts, and it shall leave them neither root nor branch. But unto you that fear my name shall the Son of Righteousness arise with healing in his wings, and ye shall go forth and grow up as calves of the stall. And ye shall tread down the wicked, for they shall be ashes under the soles of your feet in the day that I shall do this, saith Yahweh of hosts. Remember ye the law of Moses my servant, which I commanded unto him in Horeb for all Israel, with the statutes and judgments. Behold, I will send you Elijah the prophet before the coming of the great and dreadful day of Yahweh. And he shall turn the heart of the fathers to the children, and the heart of the children to their fathers, lest I come and smite the earth with a curse. Wow. It's the end of the Old Testament. Kind of sad. But, yeah, just think of how many books that we read, books of the Bible, that gave Israel so many warnings, so many different prophecies. Even Moses wrote a prophecy and warning to Israel before they even entered the land promised to them, about not to serve other gods and the consequences of serving gods. Like, that all came true, and God himself also prophesied way back then, and we see it happening time and time again. The whole process repeating over and over. During the time of Judges, we see them get taken captive because they sinned and they did abominations and served other gods, and then they were taken captive, and then they finally turned to God, at least for a little bit, and then God sent a judge to go and get them out of it. But then they would repeat that process over and over and over again. Then during the time of kings, mostly all wicked kings, they would force and cause everyone else to sin, and the prophets would cause people to sin. That's why the Bible said, they had no shepherd. Their shepherds, they didn't give a darn about their sheep. The sheep being, the regular people, the shepherds being the priests and preachers and prophets and stuff like that. They were far from God. And we see repeating patterns throughout all the Old Testament and prophecy saying, turn from your ways, or this is going to happen. And so much prophecy about the day of the Lord and judgment and them getting taken captive, and then all the nations, surrounding nations, including Israel, being punished also. And we see so much prophecy being fulfilled. So it's there's a lot here, a lot to read, study, understand, but also a lot to learn from. And when people say that the Old Testament, there's no point reading it, I just get sad, because after reading the Old Testament, I see so much stuff that we could benefit from and learn from. Now, not everything could we apply to our lives, but there is a lot that we can learn. So it's sad when people say that. That just shows that they haven't read through it. But I strongly recommend people to read through the Old Testament, and I like reading through the Old Testament. But now it's time for the New Testament. To get into the New Testament, which technically the first 4 books of the New Testament are technically Old Testament until Christ dies. The moment Christ dies on the cross, that's when the New Testament starts. So, but anyway, blood of a testator, as they say. Can't wait to get started on that tomorrow, God willingly. God willingly, if we are here tomorrow. But yeah, that's it. Malachi 4:6, the last of the Old Testament. And then this time period, Malachi, is sometime after the 7 years of exile, and there's a gap from between this time here and the time of Christ. I think they say it's around 400 years or so, give or take. But think of all the different kingdoms and all the history that happening in between there, and then up until Christ being born. So anyway, thanks for joining me, guys. I hope you have a great evening, morning, noon, wherever you're at. Remember to put God first in everything you do. Have faith in Him, trust in Him, wait upon him, keep hoping on him, and you'll never be sorry. And like I said, God willingly, we'll see you tomorrow with the start of the New Testament. So, God willingly. Thanks again. We'll see you later. Bye-bye.